Good evening. My name is Helen Harkey. I'm a horticultural business major here at Texas State. This is my 4th year. I am a senior, and this is my last class before I graduate. As you can see, I am presenting from my car because my apartment is full and I don't have an home office. So here we are. I hope you have as much fun as I am about to. I actually, side note, really do think water conservation is cool, and this is a very exciting topic for me. I love talking about lawns. So, landscape design methods that reduce urban water consumption and outdoor thermal discomfort. Urban green areas are one of the first images that come to mind when one thinks of a big city. Now, when I think of a park in a big city, I think it's huge, it's got some skyscrapers behind it. I think mostly turf grass, truthfully, mostly turf grass, some statues, some walkways, things of that nature. Some things that we fail to take into consideration are all the homeowners in an area with turf grass in their lawns. It takes so much water, which is already in limited supply. According to the EPA, landscape irrigation is accountable for nearly 1/3 of residential water use, totaling 9 billion gallons per day, which is so incredibly wasteful, not to mention expensive. In landscaping, incorrect plant choices, as well as the overuse of turf grass, increases pressure on our already limited water sources. So unfortunately, our limited water is a global issue, not only an American issue. Our fresh water supply is dwindling and the demand is increasing, and what we do have already is getting polluted. Unfortunately, conventional lawns are a huge, terrible source of non-point source pollution that has had an incalculable effect on our fresh water. This paper addresses the issues associated with conventional lawns, as well as landscape design options that can reduce water consumption, thermal discomfort, and landscape expenditures. Fortunately, the way that landscape design is headed is towards xeriscaping and sustainable landscapes. And again, fortunately, these reduce your water consumption, your thermal discomfort, and your landscape expenditures. They're overall more cost effective, better for your environment, and totally my opinion, I think they're way more interesting to look at. Increased biodiversity is far more pleasing to the eye than one giant monoculture. In the United States, the demand for treated municipal water exceeds the available supply. The causes of this problem include urban population growth, improved living standards, limited development of new water supplies, and dwindling current water supplies. Although water usage varies per location due to factors such as region, landscape type, and landscape maintenance, landscape irrigation can vary from 40 to 70% of a household's water use, which again is incredibly expensive and wasteful. And oftentimes one of the issues with household water use is overwatering. Neighbors, and I'm not even joking, will get competitive about whose lawn is greener, and they will overwater for appearance. And that can just cause a plethora of issues on top of it being wasteful. It can throw off the balance of bacteria and fungi in your soil. It can attract pests. It can cause diseases. It can prematurely kill your plant. So don't waste water. It's not good for your plant. It's not good for your wallet. It's not good for the environment. Improvements in the efficiency of urban landscape irrigation will undoubtedly yield significant water savings, not only from reducing your water, but also from reducing the issues associated with overwatering that I just mentioned. The structure of urban environments has been proven to alter local climates, in part due to land cover. So, past research has established the clear correlation between land surface temperature and the proportional area of land covers. So what this is touching on is the heat island effect. The heat island effect is a phenomenon where the area inside of a city is hotter than the area outside of the city because of, one, the pavement, and two, not a lot of green areas. And the issue with pavement, when I say pavement, I'm talking about pavement that's impermeable to water. So concrete, things of that nature, metal, one of the ways to reduce thermal discomfort is to reduce that pavement or just replace it with a pavement that water can actually get through. If water can get to the soil, it will help with overall soil water retention. It will decrease the temperature of that area, and also just try to go for greenery as much as you can. If you see an area and you're like, maybe I could put some rocks there, that would be nice. Think first, is there a ground cover that would survive there? Then think, okay, maybe I can put some rocks there. And then last resort, cover it completely, but try to not do that. It will really, really just decrease your water and make the area so much hotter. So for some of the reasons that I've listed above, landscape design has evolved from conventional landscaping to sustainable options that promote decreased water usage primarily and help to lower urban temperatures caused by the heat island effect. Again, the two landscape designs that I'm mentioning are xeriscaping and sustainable landscapes. In Austin, it's a great example. We use a ton of xeriscaping. Everywhere you look, it's yucca, agave, rocks. And that's because it's so hot here, and those areas aren't often irrigated. And if they are, they're drip irrigated, which also saves some water. So there's also advantages outside of just water consumption that comes from leading away from conventional landscaping. Compared to conventional landscaping, sustainable landscapes require 1/3 of the maintenance labor, 1/5 of the pesticides, and 1/4 of the irrigation water required. If you estimate a 20-year lifespan, maintenance costs for the sustainable garden are about 37% of those for the conventional one. Not only this, as we discussed earlier, chemical applications. Chemical applications are not only expensive, but they can also cause runoff and pollute surrounding water sources. The common figure is 2.5 billion British thermal units per acre per application is common. That is mind-blowing, and we can't even calculate how much of that turns into runoff. Not only this, maintenance is more expensive for conventional landscapes. So the figure that I have is businesses spend roughly $500 using salaried staff to maintain 1 acre of landscape land, while homeowners generally spend about $400 doing the same on 1 acre of landscape land. And the bulk of that, all maintenance. One more thing that's bad about conventional landscapes: frequent mowing. It's timely, expensive, routine, and it causes physical wounds that allow bacteria, fungi, viruses, and pests to injure and kill turf grass. One of the things that you can do to increase your organic matter and carbon sequestration, if you do not want to leave from your turf grass loving ways, is to leave the lawn clippings to accumulate. That'll be really good. And also just try to decrease on your synthetic fertilizer. It'll increase your carbon sequestration, be a little bit better for your lawn, and hopefully, won't pollute as much. So, what is xeriscaping? Xeriscaping programs are used to conserve the amount of water applied to urban landscapes. Due to America's freshwater crisis, xeriscaping has become a popular form of landscape design. Again, it's incredibly popular in Austin. It's known for desert regions. People like to think it's just cacti and rocks. It's not just that. It's actually very, very expansive and very comparable to sustainable landscapes. Some of the benefits of xeriscaping include reduced expenditures on water, less time on landscape maintenance, and increased use of and appreciation of native plant material. So again, tons of benefits of native plants: less water, less chemicals, less pests, less damage, and they adapt. They are already adapted. So once you plant them into the soil, they're very likely going to take off. You're going to likely suffer less losses. Xeriscaping is based on 7 principles: careful planting, adding layers, native adapted plant selection, planting grass wisely, and by wisely I mean on sloped areas to prevent runoff or erosion. Irrigate intelligently, aka drip irrigation is a great call, or just putting it on a timer, being very aware of the times that you irrigate and how much. Understand and maintain soil health. This can be done through a soil test. What you want to find out is your soil pH and your soil type. If you need to amend your soil, let's say clay retains a lot of water. If it's too clayey, you can add some sand. If it's too sandy, you can add some clay. Basically, you want to focus on water retention and organic matter. If you have enough organic matter, the water retention will work itself out, and that will cycle new nutrients into the soil and hopefully plant available nutrients. Also, remember to compost and mulch. So as I mentioned, organic matter is very important. Mulch is a very easy way to put organic matter right on the exact place that you want it to. It will increase moisture and give you some nutrients and a little bit of macropores, some biodiversity, some life. So from there on, the paragraph details how to xeriscape. So you want to carefully plan where the sun's going to hit your land. You're going to think about the foot traffic. If it's a public area, where are people walking? Where are the areas that you don't want them to walk to? How can you block that off with barriers? So you're going to want to plan wisely. The USDA hardiness map is a great tool that I like to use to find out plants that will survive in your area. Texas, as we know, is like a bouncy ball for temperatures, so you do want something that's going to survive our hottest and our coolest temperature, and that is where the USDA hardy map is very, very helpful. So what is conservation landscaping or sustainable landscaping? Conservation landscaping involves reduction of turf area, preserving natural biodiversity, and placing native trees, shrubs, and perennials in areas where they may filter storm water runoff and minimize the use of agricultural chemicals. So one thing that we touch on, or that I touch on a little bit earlier, is the use of trees in a landscape. So that's something that xeriscaping is about, but more often you see it in conservation landscaping. So what you do by planting a large tree is you allow a deeper root system that can wick up water that's gone to a lower level that most of your plants can't reach. So it's going to wick up that water, keep it available for some of the other plants, and also it's going to hold the surrounding soil in place with its bigger root system to prevent erosion and sequential runoff. So that is very, very important. It's a key component to conservation landscaping. Let me see. Conservational landscaping is also a more cost-effective option compared to conventional landscaping. So, to conclude, please lean towards conventional landscaping, or I'm sorry, conservational landscaping or xeriscaping, and move away from conventional landscaping. Turf grass is a water hog, and ultimately it needs to be paved to walk over. There's tons of things that you can do to limit that, but the pavement increases and the turf grass just uses water. It makes cities hotter. If you are a homeowner or you're interested in reducing your thermal heat, like I said, lean away from pavement. If you're worried about your water consumption, lean away from turf grass. You can find tons of pamphlets on native plants. There's nurseries here that specialize in native plants that you can pick from. But please, it helps the environment, it saves you money, and ultimately, if I were someone reading this, that's what I would want to get out of it, are the principles of xeriscaping, and just knowing that I can reduce my heat with my lack of pavement. So anyway, I appreciate you listening to my final academic presentation. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great night.